Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Happy Friday. Guys, so I was live earlier and this press conference was going on and I wanted to bring this to you guys because um this has been going on for a few weeks now. Ashley Elkins has been missing. She's a mom of two. Apparently, Ashley's ex-boyfriend, he's been in jail for a couple of weeks now, but they do believe that he is responsible not only for her disappearance, but as of today, her murder. He has been charged with murder. Um, and we're going to go to the press conference to hear what brought them to this conclusion, because when they file murder charges, it's usually obviously because they've got evidence leading up to a murder charge. So let's get into it. Let's hear what's going on. And I'm going to let this play through and then we'll talk about it. We'll circle back because I think they're going to show the arraignment. If they don't, yes, the arraignment is in here. I don't know how much of it they're going to show. Let's get into it.
The defendant was seen leaving in the victim's car with
it just starts out and they're reading the charges.
Later on that afternoon, the defendant was seen leaving in the victim's car with the unknown female. A short time later, defendant returns with the unknown female, but the victim's car is gone. Over the next course of 15 hours, the defendant is seen coming and going from his apartment, and the victim is no longer seen. We conduct a search warrant on the residence and ultimately find what we believe to be a large crime scene with a substantial amount of blood in the bathroom. DNA confirms that the blood did in fact belong to the victim. Since January 2nd, the victim has not been seen or heard from, has not had contact with friends or family, no banking activity. This leads us to believe that the victim is in fact deceased and the defendant is responsible for her death and disappearance.
All right, based on your testimony and authorized the warrant, Mr. Lang, are we ready to proceed to immediate arraignment, or would you like an opportunity to speak with your client regarding the new information?
Your Honor, we can go right to the arraignment. I just received the amended information on this matter. Have read it. We would stand mute to all charges at this time.
Judge, I'm sorry, Carmen DeFranco on behalf of the people. We don't have the defendant on the screen yet, so.
Well, we're gonna get there. That's what I just want to know if we were moving straight or if he needed to talk to his client, because we just got the search in. All right, Macomb County Jail, may I please have DeAndre Booker?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now appearances for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Carmen DeFranco appearing on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Robbie Lang appearing on behalf of DeAndre Booker.
And sir, please state your name for the record.
DeAndre Booker.
All right, Mr. Lang, again, with regard to the arraignment on the new information you've been provided.
Your Honor, I have been provided the new information. We would waive the formal reading and stand mute.
All right. Mr. Booker, have you had an ample opportunity to talk to your attorney?
Not today, but yesterday, yes.
Has he gone over your rights with you?
Yes.
Do you understand all of those rights?
Yes.
Do you have any questions regarding those rights?
No.
Do you know what the charges are in the new information at this time?
I don't.
All right.
You might as well read them, Your
read the
Honor.
charges, counsel, just so that he knows what he's trying to take, or I can do it whatever you prefer.
You could read them out loud.
That's fine. Sir, you are charged with count 1, homicide, murder, first degree, premeditated. The allegation is that you did deliberately with the intent to kill and with premeditation kill and murder 1 Ashley Elkins, contrary to MCL 750.316. That is a felony with a possible penalty of life without parole. Count 2, tampering with evidence, criminal case punishable by up to more than 10 years. did knowingly and intentionally remove, alter, conceal, destroy, or otherwise tamper with evidence to be offered in a criminal case where the crime was punishable by a maximum term of imprisonment of more than 10 years or imprisonment for life of any term of years. That is a felony punishable by up to 10 years and or $20,000. Count 3, dead bodies, disinterment and mutilation. Did mutilate, deface, remove, or carry away a portion of a dead body. That is a felony punished by up to 10 years or $5,000. And count 4, concealing the death of an individual. That you allegedly did discover the body of Ashley Elkins, a person he or she had reason to know was dead, and failed to inform a law enforcement agency, a funeral home, or a 911 operator of the discovery while having a purpose to conceal the fact or cause of death of that person. That is a felony punished by up to 5 years and or $5,000. Do you understand the charges against you today?
Yes.
At this time, I'm going to enter the not guilty plea for purposes of arraignment, and we'll move to bond. We'll start with you, counsel. Mr. Lang.
Your Honor, I realize the seriousness of this offense. However, according to MCR 6.106B, he does not fit the category where bond can be denied, even though it is a murder charge, because he has no prior violent felonies, and he, at the time, is not on bond or parole or probation for any violent felony. Therefore, under 6106C, the court must order the pretrial release of defendant on personal recognizance or on unsecured appearance bond, unless the court thinks he would be a danger to the public and or a flight risk. And Your Honor, I would reiterate what I iterated before, that Mr. Booker would not be a flight risk. He has lived in either Detroit, Ann Arbor, or Macomb County his entire life. He has ties to the community here in terms of past jobs, family, etc. And if we look at the worry about him being gone, he could be placed on a steel cuff tether, so his whereabouts would be known at all times. He would, I believe that the police may have already confiscated, if he had a passport in his residence, they would already have control of that. He does not have a driver's license, so that would be surrendered to ensure that he would not flee. With regard to reasons for a personal recognizance bond, the court in subrule F looks at about 8 known factors. With regard to these, there's only one that stands out, and that is the seriousness of the offense charge. As to all the other factors, Mr. Booker does not have any prior criminal record whatsoever. He does not have a record of non-appearance at court dates. He doesn't have a history of substance abuse or a mental condition. He has had steady employment most of his life, other than for the past 6 months when he was laid off from his job, and he's been working some part-time jobs therein. And again, he has ties, family ties to this community. So I expect the court is going to enter some type of monetary bond, but I would ask that that be low. I mean, he does not have any assets of his own, and that you put some conditions on his release, like I mentioned, a GPS tether, no contact with the victim's family, etc.
All right, Mr. Franco.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, I believe the counsel is misreading 6.106. I believe this defendant can be remanded with no bond, at least for a period of about 90 days. And I would ask for that. If this court is inclined to grant some sort of monetary bond, I would ask for something in the neighborhood of $5 million cash, no 10%.
Is there anything further from any?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Having reviewed and being familiar with the statute, I would agree that the defendant does qualify for a remand under the statute. As provided as such, I am going to remand him with no bond into the care and custody of the Macomb County Jail at this time. We need to talk PCC dates at this time. There is another case with Judge Bodecker already There is a PCC scheduled for February 5th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. I was not at that matter. I do not know if the original court date, if the defendant waived his 21-day rules yet on that matter, and
Judge,
what kind of timeline issues.
if I may, Judge, yes, it was an adjourned PCC. The 21-day rule has been waived on that already. I would ask for this PCC to be set. This is obviously going to Judge Bodecker as well.
Yes, this matter will also go to Judge Bodecker. So we can keep the February 5th date of next Wednesday. We can also change that date if we are willing to waive timeline requirements today.
Your Honor, myself and Mr. DeFranco had spoke before we got on the record about, dates based upon our schedules and these dates coming up on the previous case of the 5th and the 26th. I would have waived the time frame, but now, we kind of agreed that since we have this PCC scheduled for the 5th on the other case, we just as soon have this scheduled for that. And then we'll go from there in terms of where we're going to go for another PCC based upon the anticipation of the massive amount of discovery I'm assuming I'm going to receive.
And Judge, I agree with Mr. Lang on that. I will begin to coordinate with my office's discovery unit to make sure Mr. Lang gets at least starts to get the discovery as soon as possible. And I agree. I think leaving this the 5th, then we, Mr. Lang, myself, and Judge Bodecker can all look at everyone's schedules together on that date and figure out where to go forward.
Okay, then I'm going to put this matter also on to February 5th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. on Zoom for a PCC, an exam date of February 12th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. in person. That will be the control date. You guys can discuss that with Judge Bodecker at the next court hearing. Sir, I am going to officially refer your matter to the public defender for appointment of counsel so that Mr. Lang can be appointed to coordinate both matters.
Yes, Your Honor, just to speak to that, I was specifically appointed on the other case knowing that this matter might come up, and therefore, yes, you'd have to run it through our office, and I'm going to be on this case also.
So we will make sure that is done as well. And you guys will all be in front of Judge Bodecker next Wednesday, February 5th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. I have set the matter remotely on Zoom.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Pleasure seeing you again.
See you too.
Recording stopped.
No, I was going to explore
Okay, so they immediately go into a press conference with the family. I need to listen to stuff like 2 and 3 times to be able to kind of like retain everything. I did go to the website. I'm going to go back and see if it's refreshed now. Let me refresh it to see if they put the new stipulations in for what his bond, which I guess he got no bond. But it's going to go into a press conference in a minute. So let's see the press conference and then we'll run back the arraignment. I wish they would have started on time because I think they were reading the probable cause affidavit and we missed it. So it's like they came in towards the end of the probable cause affidavit and we didn't get to hear everything. So sad news for the family nonetheless. I mean, this is really, really sad news. She's been missing for like the whole month. And she basically was in her house. She takes hair clients at her house. She does like locks and natural hair. And he had been stalking her on her style seat or whatever she was using, the apps that we all use to book our hairstylists. He was stalking her, setting up bogus appointments, stuff like that. I think she probably believed she was okay. And I'm referring to ASHLEY ELKINS here. I think she probably had a healthy kind of the ninja crazy or whatever, but you know, she kind of moved on. She's living her life. She had a new boyfriend, and or a new friend, let's say, and ma'am was moving on with her life, and he booked an appointment, and they say basically this appointment showed up, and I think for all intents and purposes it was him. And people said, well, how did they get her out the house? I don't know. I don't know if he grabbed her out the house, he pushed her out the house. Allegedly, he was with an unknown female, or they say he was with a unknown female. Um, there's a lot going on with this case too, but they have been looking for her at various different sites, and they have not been able yet to find her body. But based on the evidence they have and what they believe that they have collected, I'm assuming they're declaring her dead. If they're giving him a murder charge, they're declaring her dead. Based on the evidence that they have, they're declaring it was a homicide. I mean, when they declare someone dead with no body, I mean, we could actually look it up, but there's not a presumption of life anymore. So that's one thing to keep in mind, because there's people who have been missing for years and years, and they don't get a murder distinction. If they've declared someone dead and this guy is all up in the camera. My God, sir. If they are declaring someone, if they are charging someone with murder, there's no hopes of life anymore. So I know we've talked about this in the Naziah Harris case. I mean, they've charged Jarvis Butts with murder. So we got to think about that. Yes, there's no body, and yes, we all have hope for miracles and ways out of no way. But at the end of the day, when they charge someone with murder, it's because the evidence shows that there was a murder and the person is presumed deceased. So anyway, let's listen to the press conference. Maybe they're going to read the probable cause affidavit. I didn't listen to this whole thing. I just got off of another live. We'll listen to this. The family is there making a statement, and then after we'll roll it back and listen to it again. And then I'm gonna close this live out, and then we'll start a different one. Okay. Let's see what's going on here.
Are you a family spokesperson or?
Yes.
How long has it been since you've heard someone go psst, psst? That is, if that's not some old school gesturing, I don't know what is, but it's been a long time since I've heard someone say psst.
Mom or sister. Okay. So that's mom and sister that they both were not don't want to speak today. Okay.
So what's your name, sir?
Maurice Morton. MAURICE MORTON.
Are you a family spokesperson or?
Yes, and uncle.
Uncle? Okay, thank you, sir.
So good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming out. I know that we've had a huge amount of media that has been asking questions, but we couldn't give answers until the completion of the investigation. But be that as it may, it's still going on, which means other information, evidence, it could be digital, it could be otherwise, it comes in. So we want to, number one, be respectful of the privacy of this family who's lost a loved one. We also want to be non-repetitive. So I believe Mr. Morton, on behalf, he's the uncle in the case, is going to be the spokesman. He's going to be the point person on any matters regarding the family, so that we don't have the intrusiveness with the mother and also the aunt that's here today too. In addition, we have questions that deal with the investigation from two jurisdictions, Mourne and Roseville. Although other officers in the matter, and then we'll speak to that, were involved with the entire rescue and or recovery in the matter at the landfill, there is information at this time that is still ongoing being processed. Therefore, certain answers that are given before we start this morning have to be guarded at best. The innocent is still innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. These charges were levied based on the information as well as the entire process of police work. And I know it was tedious, long, cumbersome, but I thank the family for giving accolades to the law enforcement agencies that did such a fine job. That being said, you heard the charges this morning in open court. In addition, the other charge that was already levied makes a total of 5 charges. And for that, I'm going to open it up because the information that has been given to you right now and provided openly in court deals with the investigative portion of the program, which was brought by law enforcement to the office for a full review, exhaustive review. And at this time, these are the charges that have been levied. Open it up for questions. Let's do it one at a time. Put your hand up and direct it to either the investigative portion or the charging portion, because there's 2 portions.
Could you expand on?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Put your hand up.
Oh yeah, I mean, maybe along the same lines, but can you, kind of expand on, how we got from that last day of the search to where we are today?
This is an ongoing investigation. Detectives continue to work tirelessly, develop more evidence, put together what I feel is an excellent case, obtained enough evidence to present to the prosecutors who went through it very thoroughly and authorized those charges today.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering if you could expand a little more on the evidence that was found. The detective sergeant said there was blood found in the bathroom. What a little bit more about that?
There was blood recovered from the apartment. It was analyzed by the State Police Crime Lab, and it was a match to Ashley.
And that was in the bathroom, correct?
Yes.
Was it anywhere else or was it just in the bathroom?
We're going to keep it just to that, what was put out in court this morning at this time.
Thank you, sir.
Can you describe how much blood?
There was blood recovered. It was a match, and it was enough to get the charges authorized today, and we'll leave it at that.
And the evidence,
Go ahead.
the evidence was recovered when you did the search of the boyfriend's apartment or ex-boyfriend's apartment. Is that correct? Or was this at a different time?
It's recovered from the search.
Can you repeat what was said this morning in regard to the suspect being in a vehicle with a female, I believe, and then came back alone? So did he have help? Can you talk about the relevance of why that was introduced today?
We believe he acted alone. There was a video portion of a second female. It was investigated thoroughly. She was not involved. She was unwitting.
Was that at the alleged time maybe of disposal of a body? Or do we know, or can you
No,
add
sir.
any context as to how and what you believe happened as far as where she was taken?
Johnny indicated that you said, was it at the time disposal of the body? He said, no, sir.
Okay.
Thanks for the question. Again, this is the kind of case, even though you don't have a body and you're going to, you're a journalist and, communications is very important. These cases are put together by the totality of the evidence, the statements, the digital evidence that's provided, and because people come forward even during an investigation, may offer more testimony. So we're not that we don't want to answer completely, but there's things that are still ongoing. Somebody had a question over here.
I was going to ask you if you feel confident you can get a conviction without a body.
Past practice is what I rely on for future performance here. This county has seen, since I've been practicing almost 40 years, 4 cases that I'm very familiar with that have had no body and have had total conviction, because there's no other way sometimes to explain it when you don't have a body except all of the evidence that's been accumulated. Yes.
In terms of the search for her body, are there other places you guys have searched? Can you discuss where you've searched or where you will continue to search if you have additional information to do that?
Any information that's garnered as a result of now new information would be searched, of course, but you've already known that the landfill was the main place.
Are there additional places you intend to search?
Not at this time.
forgive me if these questions may be remedial because I've followed this on the periphery, not directly, but can you speak to evidence that was gathered at the landfill that might be relevant?
Everything that was gathered there is still being processed, and that'll be decided if evidentiary value at a later time.
Can you speak to potential motive here? Meaning, had they had a longer standing relationship that was breaking off, or can you add any context to the why, perhaps?
I don't think that we have the in-depth knowledge and what you need, but I know the family has given information that has also been a part of the investigation in regards to the relationship. And I think they want to keep a lot of that private at this time.
Thank you.
Mr. Morton, I imagine, I don't put words in your mouth, what's the family feeling today, sir, seeing charges being brought as moving forward in the case?
It's a very tough day, right? Very emotional to hear the charges that were levied. But the family is appreciative to everyone that's worked on this case, particularly to Roseville Police Department and the prosecutors. It's been, a little over 4 weeks now waiting for murder charges to come. And so, though this does not bring complete closure, but we know that this is the journey to justice. So this is where it starts. And that's what the family wants. We want justice in this case.
Forgive me for appreciating what the prosecutor said about privacy concerns and what may have been shared publicly previously or not. So forgive it if it's redundant, but can you share anything in regard to, was there an abusive relationship here or what might have transpired leading up to this situation?
Yeah, we can't really speak to those details. We've said in the past that they had broken up back in September. And we've made it clear that, we can't speak to motive. I can't get in the mind of a murderer, of a psychotic killer. So we'll leave it at that for now.
Condolences.
What would you like people to remember about Ashley?
Beautiful young lady. Remember mostly that she is a mother of a 10-year-old and 7-year-old. So you have 2 young boys out there who don't have a mother. So the community should, feel for those children. She has a mother here, she has siblings, a full family, a wealth of community members and supporters and friends out there who loved her tremendously. You've heard her mom say multiple times, she was the life of the party. Everyone loved her, cared for her, and she cared for them. But she was a mom who fought and cared and took care of her children. I mean, that's what he took away.
How's the family coming together to help her son's process what's going on right now?
It's tough. Mom has mentioned multiple times they're having nightmares. The youngest doesn't quite comprehend this and what's going on. And so it's going to take a village to wrap around them and support them. But this is tough. And we can imagine that going through the court process over these next few months or year or so, it's going to be even tougher. So. And
do you have any message for those who've been working on this investigation, how it's played out, how it's progressed over the last month? What's your message to law enforcement, detectives, and people who've been trying to help bring justice to y'all's family?
Yeah, I mean, we were very clear. We were, the family was frustrated when we started out, right? When Ashley first went missing. We know that law enforcement hands are tied oftentimes. We feel that society as a whole should take these cases more seriously. Just as there's an Amber Alert, we're saying there should be an Ashley Alert, right? When a young woman goes missing and there's reason to believe she's in harm's way, there should be more done. But as it relates to what's been done by Roseville Police, and since that point, nothing but accolades. They've done a fantastic job. The family's appreciative of all of those agencies that participated in the search for Ashley at the landfill. They've communicated with us on a regular basis. I'm going to keep saying this. Chief Berlin has been excellent in how he's worked with the family. And so we're appreciative of everything they've done. We started with Warren Police Department, Roseville Police Department. We know the prosecutors have worked on this. We appreciate it because, we know there's a lot of families that don't get this level of attention, whether it's from the media or law enforcement. And we feel that everyone should get this level of attention. So we're appreciative of what they've done to this point.
How hard is it being in the courtroom, seeing the suspect's face?
It's very difficult, but I think the hardest part is hearing the charges, right? Because then you start to visualize and picture what occurred. That's very difficult.
from the work at this point on, the journey's beginning with the prosecution, because now all of the points that have been investigated thus far, as well as what may come in the future, have to be put together methodically and to show the timeline as to how it all occurs. And I want to thank also all the assistant prosecutors, including the two that are here today, Ms. Seaworth and Mr. DeFranco, because they are going to lead the charge on this case to bring justice to this family and closure someday, that the questions can be answered and be given to those two little boys. Because we all have families in here, let's face it. Nobody wants to be sitting here and going through this. This is extremely painful. And the thought of trying to bring her home and get closure at that time wasn't a success, but we're going to go ahead and do everything we can to purge forward and make sure that justice is going to be in this case. The reality is he's innocent until proven guilty. And everything that we say at this point here, we want to make sure that you have that information in the message that you're leaving to those individuals that wanted to know about the open questions.
I could touch on one thing. We don't get here today without the collaboration of all our friends in law enforcement. Commissioner Hawkins from Warren PD and his officers were phenomenal. Macomb County Sheriff's Office, we had 15 agencies out there at the landfill. Our detectives here in Roseville worked throughout, and unbelievable caliber of people, and the training and their performance and their knowledge of putting this case together is second to none. So without the collaboration of all of us, this doesn't happen today.
And to I guess come off of that, who's ever trained to go into a landfill and look for a body? None of us. And it's important to realize that they had to strap on boots and godly knows weather and go through garbage to try to do their job to bring her home. So I'm forever grateful for the mission, because it at least took place.
Prosecutor, 2 questions. Are there any other persons of interest or accomplices? I know that the woman in the vehicle was not considered an accomplice. Do you believe there were other people involved?
Great question. And I wish that we had more to go on, but the individuals that were a part of, let's say, this investigation, they're not talking. So we'll go from there.
And do you believe, based on evidence that you have or more that you'll look at, that you will find Ashley?
I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. I'd like to go ahead and tell you yes, but it's only if somebody or evidence points to where that happens. Somebody may cooperate in the investigation. Sometimes it takes a little bit, but I'm hopeful.
A quick question for Chief Berlin. Has a case like this had an emotional impact on the department or even yourself?
Absolutely. The officers were invested in this from the beginning, and doing that search became more invested throughout. And when it was over, felt very defeated. So, yep.
And for point of clarity, please, beyond the DNA evidence in the blood in the bathroom in the apartment, has DNA evidence been found in a dumpster, landfill, anywhere else, a vehicle perhaps?
We're just going to stick with the comments on the evidence from what was revealed in the court today.
Fair enough.
There's an enormous amount of pages of information. I'm sure by FOIA, you're going to find what statements were made, what information was garnered, and more importantly, the results of that evidence.
But either the prosecutor or Chief Berlin, do we believe that I guess we don't know how she died, is that correct? At this point, we just have the blood evidence, or can you say how you believe she did die, and if that occurred in the bathroom or elsewhere?
So there's still ongoing discussions with the medical crew, if you will, as to certain things that we have determined, okay, that they need to look at and give back. But at this point here, we don't want to disclose more than we need to, given the nature and circumstances of ongoing evidence coming back. If there's no other questions, I know that the family has indicated that their privacy is what they want at this point here. They've been inundated with stress, and they're mourning their loved one. And at this point here, I know you will respect their privacy and go through the spokesman of the family, that you bring your questions to him, and he'll make sure he'll do his best to do what's necessary to get you an answer. Thank you for your time this morning, and we appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll take the rest. More. Thank you. It's okay, John. You guys want to go back?
Give me just a second, guys. Okay, give me just a second, guys. I'm just trying to find where I wanted to go back to. I was hoping we missed that. Okay, so the prosecutor said, I'm sure you'll find out by FOIA. I mean, it's like you send a FOIA request though, and then they're not going to fulfill it because it's still a continuing process. But they were reading the probable cause here, and I don't know if they're going to publish the probable cause or not. They read it in open court, but of course, somebody was probably late turning on their camera, because it's like it starts off in mid-sentence and we don't have the whole thing. So I wish we knew what was on that probable cause statement, because that would tell us a lot. And it came in so if you're just now coming in, let's see. Oh, and the uncle is an attorney. The uncle actually was a prosecutor in, was it Warren or Wayne County? Maybe in Detroit. I'm not sure. But her uncle, the family spokesperson, Ashley, he was a prosecutor. He was in the prosecutor's office, maybe in Detroit. So, he is married to mom's sister, and mom was the lady who was sitting there with the black glasses on. So I can't imagine. It's hard enough losing someone that you love in general, but to lose someone to a tragedy and know that it's like the ultimate selfish act, on top of the fact that this guy took her from her kids and all the people that love her. On top of that, which is awful enough, right? She's murdered. On top of that, he won't tell where her body is. That's the rage that people feel. That's that type of rage that people feel when it's just like, not only did you take her out of this world, but you took her physical body away. We can't even give her a proper funeral, rest in peace, it's so awful. It's just the ultimate hate. Like, he's just the ultimate hater. Some things that it does say. So I'm assuming there were some people in the courtroom. So I'm reading this. Warren, Michigan. This says prosecutors said investigate. Okay, so ex-boyfriend of Ashley Elkins, a Macomb County woman who has been missing since early January, was charged with first-degree murder Friday. Prosecutors said investigators found DNA evidence in DeAndre Booker's apartment that shows he killed the 30-year-old. The DNA evidence included substantial blood, so not like a shaving your leg type blood incident where, or you know what I mean, like just the random blood that comes out of our, you'd be surprised how much blood they'd find in your house. But when it's substantial, or, they can tell the difference between a kitchen accident, a bathroom mishap versus calling something a murder, right? Prosecutors said investigators found DNA evidence from DeAndre Booker's apartment that shows he killed the 30-year-old. That DNA evidence included substantial blood found in the bathroom of the apartment, according to the prosecutors. Police have not recovered Elkin's body, but said they remain hopeful they will eventually. Our hearts are with Ashley's family as we endure the unimaginable pain. That we remain committed to seeking justice for them and our community. No one should suffer such a loss, and we will do everything in our power to ensure accountability, said the Macomb County prosecutor. They probably took that from this press conference. Ashley was reported missing by her family the January 3rd after she wasn't heard from the prior day while running errands, according to the police. So I remember the mom said that she had a dream the night before something bad had happened. She was messaging Ashley. I guess they were talking, and then all of a sudden it kind of like abruptly stopped. And then there were like some weird texts that she just kind of like in the back of her mind thought were strange, and just kind of went on about her day. And, she's a grown woman with 2 kids. I don't know where her kids were. Her family said it was unusual for Elkin, the mother of 2, to not have contact with her children or family. We're talking about the mother of 2 who are 10 and 7, who loves her children, loves her family. Her mother, Monica Elkins, told WXYZ she's always in contact with her family, and to not be in contact, not have responded in 5 days or reach out is just uncommon. The ex-boyfriend, so DeAndre Howard Booker, 32, Roseville, Elkin's ex-boyfriend, was arrested in connection with her disappearance. He was initially charged with lying to the police during the violent crime investigation. Booker was later charged with first-degree murder, premeditated, tampering with evidence, dead body dismemberment or mutilation. So, I mean, if they're giving him that, they've got, you know what I'm saying? You have to look into the charges. So, number 1, premeditated murder. They must have reason to believe that he was communicating, doing searches, sending texts. He was doing something that gave them premeditated murder. Tampering with evidence, maybe moving the body, dead body dismemberment and mutilation. There's some evidence that gives them, they're not going to just throw on charges. Contrary to what we hear other people say, they're not just going to throw charges on. If there's a substantial amount of blood in the bathroom, it could be something so horrendous that when you look at that, there's only one conclusion that they could come to, right? And concealing the death of an individual. He was placed in the Macomb County Jail without bond. So he's without bond now. He has a $250K bond on the lying to police, but he's been remanded into custody with no bond. So he's done. He's not getting out. Booker was arrested in Flint on January 8th when police said he made several concerning internet searches. Okay, here we go. Such as fast routes to from Flint to Ohio, what to do while on the run, is blood traceable, how to beat a polygraph test, and deleting your Google search history. What a dummy. Okay. But thank God thank God for this ignorance, because that's why he's sitting in jail. And Ashley's family is going to get at least some sort of peace, because having some guy like this on the run, he could come back for her mother. You know what I mean? He sounds like a complete menace. On the day Elkins disappeared, her family told investigators that they received sporadic and odd texts from her phone, according to the police. Cell phone records on that day showed that Elkins' cell phone last pinged at Roseville apartment. Her phone was pinging. He kept her phone on at his apartment, knowing she was creeped out by him. She had a new boyfriend and was not dealing with him anymore. So cell phone records on that day showed that Elkin's cell phone last pinged at Roseville apartment where Booker lived, according to police. Investigators said they collected significant evidence, including forensics, that will be further analyzed. They also seized a dumpster from the apartment for investigative and evidentiary purposes, according to they seized the dumpster. They seized the dumpster. Okay, guys? They took it in. Whew. A 2009-2010 Chevy Malibu that belonged to Elkins was found in the area of 13 Mile and Little Mac near the apartment, according to police. Police then searched an area at the Pine Tree Acres landfill in Lenox Township, where they found some items that will be later analyzed in connection with the case. The search began on January 13th and ended roughly a week later. Well, but this happens in every city. It's not just Detroit. I mean, there's unfortunately something like this that happened in probably 25 other places last night. You know what I mean? I hate to say it, but it's not, this happened unfortunately to several other families last night, or it'll happen tonight and happened last month. You know what I mean? So it's not just Detroit. It just sometimes there's just certain cases that hit the hot, that just catch people's ear. And we just happen to be talking about this one because someone could be talking about something else in another part of the country. Anyway, guys, I'm going to shut this one down. And I'm looking at something else. I don't know if you guys remember. Oh, you know what? I wanted to just see the arraignment again, just for a minute. So if you want to entertain me, we're going to go back through this arraignment and then I'm going to shut this down. Okay.
That afternoon, the defendant was seen leaving in the victim's car with the unknown female. A short time later, defendant returns with the unknown female, but the victim's car is gone.
Y'all, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was on mute. So DeAndre had some pictures on his Facebook with a woman and people were coming for her so bad. And she said that she had nothing to do with it. And then also we heard the police chief say that there were people who were not talking. So I don't know. I wish we could see this probable cause from the beginning, this part where they're reading everything. I'm going to send a note and see if I can get it, but I'm not going to be surprised if they say no.
Later on that afternoon, the defendant was seen leaving in the victim's car with the unknown female. A short time later, defendant returns with the unknown female, but the victim's car is gone. Over the next course of 15 hours, the defendant is seen coming and going from his apartment, and the victim is no longer seen. We conduct a search warrant on the residence and ultimately find what we believe to be a large crime scene with a substantial amount of blood in the bathroom. DNA confirms that the blood did in fact belong to the victim. Since January 2nd, the victim has not been seen or heard from, has not had contact with friends or family, no banking activity. This leads us to believe that the victim is.
I wonder if he's nervous. He's nervous to read in public. Poor thing.
In fact, deceased. and the defendant is responsible for her death and disappearance.
All right, based on your testimony and authorized the warrant, Mr. Lang, are we ready to proceed to immediate arraignment, or would you like an opportunity to speak with your client regarding the new information?
Your Honor,
All right, based on your testimony and authorized the warrant, Mr. Lang, are we ready to proceed to immediate arraignment, or would you like an opportunity to speak with your client regarding the new information?
Your Honor, we can go right to the arraignment. I just received the amended information on this matter. Have read it. We would stand mute to all charges at this time.
Judge, I'm sorry, Carmen DeFranco on behalf of the people. We don't have the
Hold on.
defendant on
Yeah,
the
that's
screen
what I
yet,
was-
so.
Well, we're gonna get there. That's what I just want to know if we were moving straight or if he needed to talk to his client, because we just got the search you in. All right, Macomb County Jail, may I please have DeAndre Booker?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now appearances for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Carmen DeFranco appearing on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Robbie Lang appearing on behalf of DeAndre Booker.
And sir, please state your name for the record.
DeAndre Booker.
All right, Mr. Lang, again, with regard to the arraignment on the new information you've been provided.
Your Honor, I have been provided the new information. We would waive the formal reading and stand mute.
All right. Mr. Booker, have you had an ample opportunity to talk to your attorney?
Not today, but yesterday, yes.
Has he gone over your rights with you?
Yes,
Do you understand all of those rights?
yes,
Do you have any questions regarding those rights?
no.
Do you know what the charges are in the new information at this time?
I don't.
All right. Can we
You might as well read them,
read
Your
the
Honor.
charges, counsel, just so that he knows what he's charged with today, or I can do it whatever you prefer.
You could read them out loud.
That's fine. Sir, you are charged with count 1, homicide, murder, first degree, premeditated. The allegation is that you did deliberately with the intent to kill and with premeditation kill and murder 1 Ashley Elkins, contrary to MCL 750.316. That is a felony with a possible penalty of life without parole. Count 2, tampering with evidence. Criminal case punishable by up to more than 10 years. Did knowingly and intentionally remove, alter, conceal, destroy, or otherwise tamper with evidence to be offered in a criminal case where the crime was punishable by a maximum term of imprisonment of more than 10 years or imprisonment for life of any term of years. That is a felony punishable by up to 10 years and or $20,000. Count 3, dead bodies, disinterment and mutilation. Did mutilate, deface, remove, or carry away a portion of a dead body. That is a felony punished by up to 10 years or $5,000. And count 4, concealing the death of an individual. That you allegedly did discover the body of Ashley Elkins, a person he or she had reason to know was dead, and failed to inform a law enforcement agency, a funeral home, or a 911 operator of the discovery while having a purpose to conceal the fact or cause of death of that person. That is a felony punished by up to 5 years and or $5,000. Do you understand the charges against you today?
Yes,
At this time, I'm going to enter the not guilty plea for purposes of arraignment, and we'll move to bond. We'll start with you, counsel. Mr. Lang.
Your Honor, I realize the seriousness of this offense. However, according to MCR 6.106B, he does not fit the category where bond can be denied, even though it is a murder charge, because he has no prior violent felonies, and he, at the time, is not on bond or parole, probation for any violent felony. Therefore, under 6106C, the court must order the pretrial release of defendant on personal recognizance or on unsecured appearance bond, unless the court thinks he would be a danger to the public and or a flight risk. And Your Honor, I would reiterate what I iterated before, that Mr. Booker would not be a flight risk. He has lived in either Detroit, Ann Arbor, or Macomb County his entire life. He has ties to the community here in terms of past jobs, family, etc. And if we look at the worry about him being gone. He could be placed on a steel cuff tether, so his whereabouts would be known at all times. He would, I believe that the police may have already confiscated, if he had a passport in his residence, they would already have control of that. He does not have a driver's license, so that would be surrendered to ensure that he would not flee. With regard to reasons for a personal recognizance bond, the court in subrule F looks at about 8 known factors. With regard to these, there's only one that stands out, and that is the seriousness of the offense charge. As to all the other factors, Mr. Booker does not have any prior criminal record whatsoever. He does not have a record of non-appearance at court dates. He doesn't have a history of substance abuse or a mental condition. He has had steady employment most of his life, other than for the past 6 months when he was laid off from his job, and he's been working some part-time jobs therein. And you know, again, his ties, family ties to this community. So I expect the court is going to enter some type of monetary bond, but I would ask that that be low. I mean, he does not have any assets of his own, and that you put some conditions on his release, like I mentioned, a GPS tether, no contact with the victim's family, etc.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, I believe the counsel is misreading 6.106. I believe this defendant can be remanded with no bond, at least for a period of about 90 days. And I would ask for that. If this court is inclined to grant some sort of monetary bond, I would ask for something in the neighborhood of $5 million cash, no 10%.
Is there anything further from anyone?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Having reviewed and being familiar with the statute, I would agree that the defendant does qualify for a remand under the statute. As provided as such, I am going to remand him with no bond into the care and custody of the Macomb County Jail at this time. We need to talk PCC dates. At this time, there is another case with Judge Bodecker already. There is a PCC scheduled for February 5th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. I was not at that matter. I do not know if the original court date, if the defendant waived his 21-day rules yet on that matter, and what kind of time.
If I may, Judge, yes, it was an adjourned PCC. The 21-day rule has been waived on that already. I would ask for this PCC to be set. This is obviously going to Judge Bodecker as well.
Yes, this matter will also go to Judge Bodecker.
I mean, I don't know what he's standing there thinking about, but I mean, my God, I don't even know. It's awful. It's awful. He's a definite flight risk. If he can dismember, I don't care if he's from New Jack City, okay? It doesn't matter. If you got substantial blood in your bathroom and somebody who does not deal with you anymore, their phone happens to be pinging at your house after they don't fuck with you, they got a new boyfriend, they got 2 kids to tend to, all of a sudden they are in the wind, nobody knows where they are. Baby, you are number 1 on the list and gonna stay number 1 on the list. You don't get bail. A substantial amount of blood, that means you did what no person does. I mean, there's a new level of criminal out here that not only wants to take your life, but they want your family to suffer too, as if it's not suffering enough to kill a mother, take a mother away from their children. But you are that type of a person who will take out knives and do what we can only assume was done to her body, based because they did give him a charge. They gave him a charge because that's what they believe, right? I cannot imagine. That's not somebody who needs to be out here. What did you miss? Girl, we've been live for an hour. I'm getting ready to shut it down. What did you miss? A lot. Ashley Elkins' ex-boyfriend has been charged with murder and dismemberment and something. I don't even know what the other term was, but it's heinous. So slide the bar back. This is just the worst situation. Let's let the rest of this play. We have like 3 more minutes. Or maybe less. I don't know. But this is DeAndre Booker. He has been charged with the murder of Ashley Elkins.
So we can keep the February 5th date of next Wednesday. We can also change that date if we are willing to waive timeline requirements today.
Your Honor, myself and Mr.
And notice they don't play over here. They make you stand up. There's no everybody sitting in the booth. You gonna get in that booth. You gonna stand on that Zoom camera, and that's it. That's all.
DeFranco had spoke before we got on the record about, dates based upon our schedules and these dates coming up on the previous case of the 5th and the 26th. I would have waived the time frame, but now, we've kind of agreed that since we have this PCC scheduled for the 5th on the other case, we just as soon have this scheduled for that. And then we'll go from there in terms of where we're going to go for another PCC based upon the anticipation of the massive amount of discovery I'm assuming I'm going to receive.
And Judge, I agree with Mr. Lang on that. I will begin to coordinate with my office's discovery unit to make sure Mr. Lang gets at least starts to get the discovery as soon as possible. And I agree. I think leaving this the 5th, then we, Mr. Lang, myself, and Judge Bodecker can all look at everyone's schedules together on that date and figure out where to go forward.
Okay, then I'm going to put this matter also on to February 5th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. on Zoom for a PCC, an exam date of February 12th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. in person. That will be the control date. You guys can discuss that with Judge Bodecker at the next court hearing. Sir, I am going to officially refer your matter to the public defender for appointment of counsel so that Mr. Lang can be appointed.
Okay, so you guys can run this back. I'll drop the link to this press conference for you guys. I'm gonna drop it here in the chat. I'm getting ready to watch Jennifer Crumley. I don't know if you guys know who Jennifer Crumley is. She is the mom of the boy Ethan who shot up the school, Oxford High School. He killed 4 people. And the interesting thing about this case from other school shooters is that mom and dad both got time. This is one of those cases where it was like, it was shocking to me. I mean, I do think that they were negligent because the boy was supposed to be taking medication and he wasn't taking it. But mom and dad both were convicted after their son. The son, let me see, what did he get? Let me see, Jennifer. The mom ended up getting 10 to 15 years. Now, yes, the Oxford killing. So Ethan, I forgot what the father got, but I think he thought he was going to skate, but no, It was a very interesting case because these people who don't tend to their kids, they've got mental issues. Now, everything is not going to be our faults as parents, right? But there are some things that we have to do everything we can do. If your kid is expressing rage and danger towards other people and they're still in your custody and care and you're responsible for their medications and all of those things and you're not administering it properly or you're not calling their therapist or whatever the case might be, you could go to jail too. And that came to pass with the Crumleys. Anyway, Jennifer was back in court. I think earlier today, I'm not sure. because it just came up in my timeline. I was like, oh shit. So I think this might have been the start of her appeal potentially. Anyway, I was going to watch it. I'm going to shut this one down. If you guys want to join me, you're welcome to. I'm just going to run live and listen to it because I have not watched it yet, but I think it's going to be super interesting. So I'll be back in a minute if you guys want to join me. It's going to be Jennifer Crumley. I think it's very short. It's like, let's say 45 minutes short. So not long. Yeah, so it was this morning. I think it was probably about, it's very cute, short, 45 minutes, something like that. So I'm going to shut this one down and you guys join me back in a few minutes and we'll watch it and talk about it afterwards. But like I said, you know, they're trying to, everybody can get it. Okay. That Jennifer Crumley and her husband is a case of everybody can get it because you were in charge of your son. Your son was having issues. He took those issues out the house. He went and shot up the school, killed 4 people's kids. Okay, 4 young lives lost because you're not managing your son. And mom and dad are in jail now. Okay, mom and dad are serving prison sentences. And I think his mother actually is a lawyer too. Okay, the case was crazy. And I mean, I get it because I would want that type of justice too if something happened to my kid. But God, I mean, my God, they didn't secure their guns. They were negligent. They were definitely negligent in everything. They were negligent in securing their firearms. They were negligent in supporting their son with his issues. They were negligent in his overall demeanor prior to the event. Mom was checked out and not paying attention, right? So there was a lot of things going on. Absolutely should not have access. A mess. No, he has one charge that has a $250,000 bond, and then the other 4 charges are all no bond. He's not getting out. In the words of Judge Manning, you're not getting out. I need to get Judge Manning. Sir, no matter what, you're not getting out. I will do that. I will work on that this weekend. I'm going to get Alexandra Manning in the sound effect lineup that says, sir, no matter what, you're not getting out. Okay. Y'all, let me stop. I'll see you guys. Give me a minute. Give me like 5-10 minutes. And we're going to come back and watch Jennifer Crumley. Okay. Bye, guys. Pre-trial. We don't need a pre-trial. We need, sir, no matter what, you're not getting out. But pre-trial is a good one. I don't know if we need pre-trial. We might. I'll look into it. We definitely need, sir, no matter what, you're not getting out. Bye, guys. I'll see you in a minute. Bye.